So hopefully you're watching the video podcast and you can see that I got my podcasting hat on. I don't think I even mentioned that yesterday. So with the podcast hat in place, I welcome you to the Colonel and the Kid podcast. I'm your host, Greg Heitmann. Here I am. 3-day streak going, so a lot of information to share. It's very busy. And very busy, but I got time to spend, time on my hands. So we're doing it. Doing third day in a row, third podcast in a row. And we got a special episode 25. So quarter century. Episode 25 is called The Gambling from the Colonel and the Kid podcast. And I always mention that this is a podcast based on my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, Lieutenant Colonel Edwin P. Hagen Jr. And it was my mom's dad, my maternal grandfather. And I go back and forth. Maybe sometimes I think I should have called it the Greg Heitmann podcast because that would be very particularly specific identification. But I like the way the Colonel and the Kid rolls off the tongue. It's interesting to me. So anyway, the spine of the podcast is the actual memoir that I wrote, dedicated to my grandfather, the Colonel, and I, of course, am the Kid. And the memoir's the spine, and the branches off of it are the recurring segments that I like to have. We have different ones, and today we got a couple good ones. I got a TV update I wanted to mention, recommendation, and also have a music update, just something to discuss. So I welcome you. Welcome to today. It's Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, and I always like to note that this is the day the music died. This is the 67th anniversary of Buddy Holly's plane crashing near Clear Lake, Iowa. Took off from Clear Lake, Iowa airport at night during a blizzard, and they crashed just a few miles from the airport and killed everybody on board. And it was Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Richie Valens. It was in 1959 and on this date. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and I want to just give you that little preview. But mostly I want to get to the chapter today because it's an interesting one. It's probably a strange one. People are probably thinking we got into the realm of strangeness in the memoir now, because yesterday it was the state B basketball tourney, and we touched a little bit of the gambling there at the tourney. And today we're going to strictly a chapter called The Gambling. So for those of you watching the video podcast, I'm trying to make air quotes around the gambling. So kind of an unusual topic, but we'll put that into the record and enjoy it. Let's just do that. Let's get the chapter read into the record, and then people that don't want to listen to anything else, they can just drop off the podcast. Having heard the chapter or watched the chapter with the pictures, there's a few pictures in this one, and I'll add those to the video podcast, and you can see that on YouTube. I don't know where else, if you can see that any place else other than YouTube as far as the video podcast goes, but it's pretty good. I enjoyed seeing that, watching my own podcast and seeing those photos. It's very nostalgic. So anyway, I think what are we? Season 2. And I believe this is episode 4 already, the second season. And I have a section in here called corrections, but I'm not going to correct anything today, I don't think. We're just going to go ahead and get the chapter read into the record, and we'll go on to some other sections I wanted to do. And I cut it short yesterday because of the dog sitting task that I've been assigned. So I'll be dog sitting all week. That's why I've been having a little bit more free time to go ahead and do some podcasting. But the dog also does interrupt some things once in a while. So let's get the podcast completed. And we'll do some dog activity afterwards, after we get this thing edited and uploaded. And then we'll have lunch. And then more dog things. So that's the schedule. All right, here we are. Chapter 25. And again, we're season 2 of the podcast, episode 4. Then this is chapter 25 of the memoir, The Colonel and the Kid. Chapter 25, The Gambling. And as always, we have to start the chapter with a quote. And this one was pretty obvious to me when I started writing it. I said, there's no other quote that can be here. So today's quote for this chapter, The Gambling, quote, "No one to hold 'em, no one to fold 'em, period," end quote. And of course, that's Kenny Rogers' song. It's a line from Kenny Rogers' song, The Gambler. And it just seemed too obvious not to use that. So instead of avoiding the obvious, we use the obvious and use that as the quote to start the chapter. Let's get going. Let's read the chapter into the record. Who doesn't like to gamble? As far back as I can remember, visiting Grandpa involved gambling to some sort of degree or another. Grandpa had a unique way with his challenge to ending an argument. If he felt confident in his position, whatever the debate topic, sports, politics, trivia, but mostly sports, Grandpa would cut to the chase with what I consider his classic catchphrase, "For 5," and he would exclaim that and extend his hand. With an extension of his hand and the implied $5 bet shortened to "for 5," Grandpa was quick to challenge anyone to put their money where their mouth was. I remember hearing Grandpa's challenges to other men in the den for the holiday gatherings. I didn't have $5 to risk, so Grandpa's opportunities to bet with me were probably an involuntary reaction on his part when we would argue. I would have lost a lot of money because I was a little kid and I didn't know anything. But I sure thought I knew stuff. And we have the first picture of the chapter. And I'll read the caption here and then try to describe it. And circa 1992, Grandpa makes a bet with a photographer. And the little photo here, it's Grandpa sitting in like a lazy boy chair. And it's got to be Christmas time because there's Christmas decorations in the background. And the photo is from the perspective of the photographer, whoever is doing it. I believe it's Garrett. Garrett took this photo of Grandpa. Grandpa's sitting in the chair and Garrett's taking the photo, and all you can see is the hand of the photographer, and Grandpa's hand is grabbing it and they're shaking. And Grandpa's looking up at the camera, sitting from his chair. He's got a sweater with a white collared shirt on underneath the black sweater. And he's got his glasses on and he's smiling, kind of smirking, looking up at the camera. And he's got his glasses on. It looks kind of like they caught him with his eyes closed mostly, but classic photo of Grandpa. And I don't know how I came across this. I guess looking just through the photo albums, looking for other photos, and came across this one and took a picture of the photograph myself and then saved it and was able to use it in this chapter. Perfectly synced up with this chapter topic, the gambling. Back to the chapter. The previous chapter gave you a peek at some of the gambling in the family. It was for fun, entertainment. None of it was going to shake up our lives with life-changing money. I have nothing but good memories of the friendly sports wagering going on in the house. For us boys, we used the classic gentleman's bet millions of times growing up. Since we didn't have any money, it was just the pride and the satisfaction of being correct. The funniest thing about gentleman's bets for me is the visual I have. To this day, as a kid, calling for a gentleman's bet, I can remember envisioning myself clad in a fancy suit, ascot, top hat. This is the image I have of a gentleman. The cartoonish stereotype contained in my head as I shook hands with one of my brothers to seal a gentleman's wager, including a finishing of the handshake in combination with the words spoken in slight effete English accent. "Good luck to you, sir." I'm imagining readers shaking their heads in disgust with a tisk on their lips as they read about our family's gambling habits. It was all in fun and a good lesson on risk and chance. One of the things I miss is the football pools. Most notably on Thanksgiving Day, Grandpa would organize a football pool for each of the football games. It was very simple. 10 numbers, 0 through 9, were written on slips of paper, and for $1 a chance, you could play. The last number of the total points, when added together, was the winner. No amount of skill was needed to play the game. My dad would usually buy each of us boys a chance. I remember being handed $10 as a child, having won the pool. I hadn't even known I'd entered. $10. What a thrill. So I was probably like, 7, 8, 9, 10, or whatever when that was going on during the holidays at Grandpa and Grandma's house, the country house up on the edge of Siston up there, and still good memories about that. And we have another photo here, second photo of the chapter, and this is I'll read the caption and then just try to describe the photo a little more. A photo of the souvenir dice that Grandpa brought back from a trip to a Las Vegas casino. It's a pretty cool keepsake to break out once in a while. They are stored in my wooden treasure box with some of my other mementos from Grandpa. And these are just some like red translucent set of dice, 5 of them. And it's from Harvey's Casino, I guess. That's what's stamped on the one side. It's really weird. I just noticed that it says Reno, Nevada on one of them, and all the dice say Harvey's, except one of the dies has Harvey's, and it's encircled by some outline, so they're not even all the same kind of dies, I guess. Just notice that. So they're the typical type of dice that you'd play a game with, and got the dots, and these are all facing with 2s on them because that's where they're stamped with Harvey's on there. Oh, I'm just noticing one of them says, that one says Comstock on it also. 3 say Harvey, one says Harvey with that's circled, and one says Comstock, and the Comstock's one from Reno, Nevada. So interesting. Just notice that. Anyway, back to the chapter. The most insightful gambling lessons Grandpa provided to the kids were the poker games. There were countless evenings after supper, before bedtime. Grandpa would join the grandkids around the table, and we would get a tutoring session in the fine art of poker. Grandpa had a big jug of coins, and each kid would get a handful of coins to bet. 5-card draw was the primary game, with Grandpa's colorful variations to change up the strategy, including adding wild cards. Deuces were the most common wild card, but you had to throw in one-eyed jacks and the man with the axe once in a while. Grandpa, the military man, had played a lot of poker during his service time. He had a lifetime of experience in card games and loved to share that knowledge. Poker was serious fun. Grandpa would never take it easy on us. I remember occasions, too numerous to count, where Grandpa would look across the table at me and ask, "What are you so proud of over there?" And we have the third photo, and this is I'll read the caption, then try to describe it a little bit too. It's interesting. From left to right, Garrett, Grady, Aunt Kathy, and me consider our bankroll before the next hand is dealt. Grandpa is just out of the picture to Garrett's right. It's hard to see the coins on the table with the colorful tablecloth, but penny ante poker was in full swing on what I believe was the 1991 Christmas holiday at Grandma's and Grandpa's. So in the picture, it's kind of a little dull picture. It's not very clear enough, but it's in the little kitchen nook, I guess you'd call it, the informal dining room at Grandma and Grandpa's country house just outside Siston. And Garrett's probably, I don't know, 12, 13. And I'm 1991, I guess I probably would have been 22. Grady would have been 25. Then we're around the table and Kathy's there. I don't know. I'm not going to guess how old she was. I could probably figure it out, but take too long to do the math. So we're sitting there, and it's holiday, as you can see, because there's a little holiday theme poinsettia tablecloth, green and red, and you can't really see the coins too well that are laid on the table, just pennies. And we're just sitting there around the table, kind of, I don't know, considering our own thoughts when the photograph was taken. I'm sure my dad took this, and it's got a flash. It's kind of a harsh flash. I guess you can see some of the shadows in the background, but good photo. Recommend looking it up on the YouTube video if you're just listening to it. You can see what the family looks like. I really like Garrett's zebra sweatshirt. That might have been a hand-me-down for me. I think I might have had that when I was younger and then handed it down to Garrett as I outgrew it or it shrunk in the wash. But anyway, back to the chapter. Grandpa's question was an indictment on my poker face, or lack thereof, that still exists to this day. And this will hinder any chances for my professional poker career. I can't say the same for Garrett, who has made a lot of money playing poker in legitimate casino poker rooms. He recently gave me a poker book for my birthday to prepare me for my own future retirement pastime. All the knowledge and tips about poker are no match for a lack of a poker face. It's something I'll have to continue to work on improving if I start visiting the poker rooms. And here we have a photograph of the book Garrett gave me on my birthday a few years ago, and gave that to me so I could go play poker with him, hang out at some of the poker rooms in Vegas or wherever. And I'll read the caption here. Photo of the poker book Garrett gave me for my birthday as part of his suggested retirement activities in my near future. So this is a few years ago, and now I'm retired, so I can go start playing poker, I guess. And the name of the book is Mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em by Jonathan Little. And it's got a little caption here too on the title, on the cover of the book. Strategies to consider. Strategies to consistently beat small stakes poker tournaments and cash games. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I'd be playing, just the small cash games here. I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico, so there's a few casinos, the local Indian casinos up and down the interstate and up north of Santa Fe here. I could go hit those poker rooms now. I should just do something, get some experience, life experience, meet some people, talk about stuff. Maybe I could get them to come on my podcast even. So that's potential. Anyway, good. Just back to the chapter, finish it out here, and it's a pretty short chapter, and then we'll get down to a couple other things, other sections. But back to the chapter. I believe that one of the blessings Grandma and Grandpa enjoyed in their old age was the Dakota Connection Casino that the Siston Wahpeton tribe opened in 1995. Just outside the town of Siston, Grandpa and Grandma could go have a meal and gamble a bit, an activity they really enjoyed. It was almost a routine to go to this casino for lunch on our visits in the later years. I miss it. So that's the end of the chapter. And as always, end the chapter with a quote that's appropriate, I think, for the chapter, usually. And in this instance, the gambling chapter, I have a quote from Lady Gaga. And it's, quote, can't read my, no, he can't read my poker face, end quote. So that's, I don't know if that was Lady Gaga's first big hit, called Poker Face. So I thought it was a good ending to the chapter, good quote to end the chapter and close out for today. And very good. Future podcasts, maybe we'll have some reports on some of the poker games I can get into up and around Santa Fe. So I got to find that book so I can maybe read it and get a little more training before I go out and face the bigwigs at real live poker. So anyway, that's it. That's the chapter for today. Glad I got it read in. And the next chapter, I don't have that handy. So next chapter will be 26. Get that probably done tomorrow too, because like I said, dog sitting all week and be able to have some carved out time, do some podcasts once a day. See if I can hit a week-long streak of a podcast put into the record. All right. I do want to mention think we got it and call it up here. The O'Farrell Hat Company, because I'm wearing my podcast hat. I got the hat box cover there. I'm doing some advertising for them. Free endorsement. They gave me this free hat. Well, I won the hat, but they gave it free to the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. So I like to mention that. It's a really cool hat. Get yours here in Santa Fe at downtown O'Farrell Hat Company. Also, we have a little countdown going on. Eventually, we're going to have a new poster up. But in the meantime, we got the Buffalo Lake, A Charlie LeBeau Mystery by Gregory L. Heitmann. That book is still available. Well, I guess it'll always be available. I don't know how that works. Even after I pass away, hopefully it'll still be available. And my family can collect royalties on this book. So, Buffalo Lake, A Charlie LeBeau Mystery. That poster's up for the time being. Probably, by the end of the week, we might see a new poster. I think I know where the next poster is. It's called Big Coulee, and more on that. I mean, I'm teasing this. It's going to be, if you watch the video podcast, you're going to be seeing a new poster up there pretty soon, and it is exciting. So I just wanted to keep you on the lookout for that. And Big Coulee, we'll talk about that book when that time comes, the appropriate time comes up. And it's cool. It's one of my favorite ones as far as doing the design of that little self artwork that I used some pastels and got this picture and used that for the cover with some photoshopping to help do the final formatting and everything. But coming soon to the wall up here. And what else? I think I got a lot of stuff here on the wall. I don't even remember if I mentioned the Hungarian partridge that the taxidermy Hungarian partridge that Grandpa had in his den. That's been up there for a while. I don't know if I mentioned it the first time it came up there. It's right next to the long hollow antlers, and it's kind of being obscured by the South Dakota State University Jackrabbits little flag, I guess, that I have it hanging just on a regular clothes hanger. That's the hanger's hanging from the long hollow antlers. So that's on full display. And then you can see behind me, if I kind of move a little bit out of the way here, you have the Minnesota Vikings light box emblem that Stevon made for me. It's Stevon's dog that I'm watching. So he gave that to me for Christmas, and I got that. It's an LED light, powered. It's got a little remote and stuff, so you can change how that works, but you can see that changing colors behind me. And also, I got a couple pennants. I have the South Dakota State University Jackrabbit pennant there right behind me, right here. I'm pointing to it if you're watching the video podcast. And then Utah State University pennant I bought when I visited up there probably over 20 years ago. I was working for a federal highway in Texas, and I went to a training up in Logan, Utah, where Utah State University is. And I always liked that town because I lived a year in Brigham City, Utah, which was about an hour away to the west of Logan. And I always thought Logan might be a nice place to retire. Nice college town, university stuff going on there. Big time sports, Utah State University, Mountain West Conference, some football, basketball and stuff. So it's a nice location up in the beautiful mountains. And of course, you get the mountains, you get a little more temperate climate. I think it's a little colder here, a little colder there than in Santa Fe, but still nice place. And in Utah, very low crime. Got nice Mormon people there that are friendly. I don't know. So I have that pennant there to remind me of nice places in this world. And I think that's all mentioned for the background. But I just want to make sure I brought up the Hungarian partridge again. So I'm not sure if I mentioned that before. I also have this. This is the souvenir I have from my I mentioned on the duck hunt, the guided duck hunt that I went on, um, last Thursday was January 29th, and I have this little shotgun shell, and I have the tail feathers from a little, one of the, Drake widgeon, one of the ducks I shot. It's got kind of like it's like a miniature pintail, a little sprig, pointy tail feathers, and plucked them out and saved them as a souvenir and then put them in this little shotgun shell that was an empty from one of the shells I shot out there at the ducks, and it's a good time. I'll put that on the shelf. It's a good memory box thing. So, I guess that's the good advertising for today. Got that taken care of. So I wanted to jump into some weird coincidental timing thing that, and recommendation here. And this is I'm calling it the TV update. Some of the recurring segments I thought I would start to use here and there. And this is to help you whittle down your difficulties and maybe trying to select a program to watch. And the recommendation today is on Amazon Prime. It's an Amazon Prime TV show, and it's called Jack Ryan, or more specifically, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. So you might be familiar with Tom Clancy, military slash CIA based novels that he wrote or he developed, and he had some other authors help write stuff. And I think there's probably still some Tom Clancy type books that are being developed, and he's been dead for many years now, I think. But one of the most familiar ones is The Hunt for Red October. You probably remember that movie with Alec Baldwin and Sean Connery, and it was about a Russian submarine captain that was gonna maybe defect, and so it's got this military slash CIA background in it, and I think Alec Baldwin was the first movie star to play Jack Ryan in the Jack Ryan series. I don't know how many Jack Ryan books there are out there, but so that was the Tom Clancy Jack Ryan stuff, the background. But Amazon developed and implemented and produced the Jack Ryan TV series, and I think it probably started in 2018. But I'm mentioning this now because I'm rewatching it, and I happened to started watching season 2 right before all this Venezuela stuff happened, where they basically deposed Maduro, the president of Venezuela, was a dictator, and turned the whole place, helped turn the whole country of Venezuela into a communist dictatorship. But right about the time I started watching this, just before that, all that happened in real life under the current Donald Trump administration. Just a few days before, I had finished up season 1 of the Jack Ryan series and started watching season 2, which was focused on Venezuela and the problems in Venezuela and how the CIA was working down there to depose the fictional dictator at the time for the series. And I thought, man, this is so coincidental. All this is happening. Just that happened to start to rewatch this episode right when this is actually happening with the military and the CIA operatives that went down there and had like an 88-minute war and went down and captured the president of Venezuela because of all the drugs, of the drug trafficking. I guess that was the indictment that they got to go get him. But it was so funny to see that happen. Just such a coincidental timing. And I think they talked about that Venezuela is so rich in natural resources, just unbelievable. And yet the people are starving. I think I heard some of the statistics about Venezuela. They had, I think, about 70 million people lived there, I guess, but they've lost about 25% of their population, just left because it was such terrible conditions and poverty and starvation because of the communist dictatorship that was there, and people just can't survive. So a bunch of them left and went to different countries. A whole bunch came to came to the United States illegally, so it's rough times in a lot of places, but hopefully things are going to turn up and turn around. And now that the United States has gotten rid of that dictator down there, maybe Venezuela can be a good ally to the United States, and can help them develop their natural resources and totally change the lives of those people that live there. So I'm optimistic that that can happen. But that's my TV update and TV recommendation, the Jack Ryan series. I think there's 4 seasons of it. I think they're about 8 episodes apiece, around an hour each. So it's give you some good TV watching. Pretty high quality production. Um, pretty enjoyable. And the star, the guy, the TV star that plays Jack Ryan now is John Krasinski, and um he was in The Office. He was, he, you know, I can't remember what his character's name was in The Office, but that's where I think he pretty much got his start in acting. And good enough, does a good enough job for my money, at least in the series. So Jack Ryan, I recommend that. Thumbs up. So that's your TV update for today. And I had a music update also, and I think I started to get into that a little bit. This is the day the music died. 67 years ago, February 3rd, 1959. That's when Buddy Holly, Big Bopper, and Richie Valens died in a plane crash, along with the pilot that was flying them from Clear Lake, Iowa. They were going to Fargo, I believe, and it took off after the concert at night in a blizzard, cold weather. Of course, it's February, so yeah, could be cold weather up there. And they crashed into a field up in Iowa, just a few miles from Clear Lake, Iowa Airport there. And I did want to mention this. I've been did a little looking. I didn't find it, but I worked for the Federal Highway Administration in Iowa from the year 2000 until the middle of 2002. And on one of the project visits I did when I was working in Iowa, it was close by to Clear Lake, so we we found I guess this business had like maps of how you go there, and crashed on private land, but the landowner didn't mind if you walked out there to see this little monument. And I took a little picture of the monument. I remember seeing it in the paper. There was a picture of it, and it was very deceptive because when I walked out to the middle of the field, so it was like a half-mile walk out to the middle of the um, not the middle of a cornfield, but along a section line, the fence line of a cornfield. And so it was like a half-mile walk out there. And the monument was only about this tall. I'm holding my hands up for those who watch the video. It's probably only about 14 to 16 inches tall. And the way the newspaper article I read about it with the photograph, it looked like it was a great big, like a like a a tombstone or monument, something like that you would find in a cemetery, but it was very tiny. And I'm sure that's what the landowner didn't mind it. So, but he didn't want to have it get in the way of farm equipment or anything like that. So it's just tucked in along the barbed wire fence line there. Remember seeing that and just how sad that was. I mean, Buddy Holly was only, I think, 22 years old when he was killed, and he had just a string of hits. I mean, I have a greatest hits album of Buddy Holly, and it's probably got like 15 or 16 easily recognizable songs that when you hear them or hear covers of them, that instantly. And it's pretty sad day. The day the music died, and of course that's the song American Pie. Um, American Pie by, what's the guy's name? You can get this. I'm not going to get it. Mm. By Don McLean. Good, that couldn't come to me. So Don McLean sang that song, wrote that song about American Pie. It's like a 9-minute song talking about all the stuff that's going on about that. And basically a tribute to the death of Buddy Holly. So Anyway, kind of a bummer to talk about, but still the day after Groundhog Day. We have the day the music died day. So I do have an update on the Groundhog Day. We did discuss that. Groundhog did see its shadow, and it says 6 more weeks of winter, according to the folklore of that. But I wanted to talk about that, where I think I mentioned Bill De Blasio dropped the groundhog in New York City. A cheap knockoff of Puxatawny Phil from Pennsylvania, but the groundhog in New York City was called Charlotte. Bill De Blasio, the mayor at the time, dropped the groundhog named Charlotte, and the Charlotte, the groundhog died of her injuries later that day. And then I mentioned that Zoran Mamdani, the current mayor of New York, that the breaking news yesterday was that in his tradition of the African tradition, where he's originally from, Africa, Uganda, that they eat the groundhog, and he ate the groundhog yesterday. And I don't really have much of an update, although the the breaking news, and this is all unconfirmed, about Zoran Mamdani eating a groundhog. It's all alleged, but it's also alleged that groundhog tastes like chicken, which is weird because you'd think it would taste like pork because it's a ground hog, but weirdly tastes like chicken. So we're waiting to confirm that. I haven't eaten a groundhog, so I don't know. Haven't talked to anybody that's eaten a groundhog. We're just getting news of this, that groundhog tastes like chicken. So that's the update on the Groundhog Day. Um, and today is the day the music died. Yesterday was the day the groundhog died at the hands of the former mayor of New York City, Bill De Blasio. So, speaking of dogs, I guess no one's said anything about dogs, but speaking of hogs, a dog sounds like hogs, so we're going to give you the dog sitting update. We have a big update today that we went for a walk, and I just wanted to complain about um, the dog, Echo the dog. That's the name of the dog I'm dog sitting this week, and it's Estevan. That's Angela's son. That's his dog. And they're all out in Florida enjoying some warm weather and hopefully amusement parks, standing in line, I guess. But anyway, walking the dog, this is a constant battle. I have to deal with this dog because this dog will try to eat anything, any food it finds along the walking trail or wherever we're walking. It's sniffing all over, and it's eating anything and everything. And it's so annoying because it's able to find stuff all the time, and I'm trying to grab it and get the food out of its mouth if it actually gets it in its mouth. Usually I'm paying more attention and stopping it from getting stuff. But today there was an especially bad day because I don't know if I've mentioned this. There's homeless problem here in Santa Fe, and homeless people just walk the trails. They go beg for money at the intersections. But there was a bunch of food, just bread, laying around on the trail today. So the dog was going after all his chunks and pieces of bread laying by the trail. So it was just a constant battle to try to keep the dog from just eating all the bread and anything it finds on the stupid trail. So on the edge of the trail. So that was very annoying. And that's the dog sitting update for today. I don't think I have much else I wanted to talk about. We're just a little over 40 minutes in right now, and I think I'll end it there. I got some other stuff I want to do. I got to go to the grocery store. I was going to go buy some T-bone steaks for me, not for the dog. Don't worry, I'm not buying T-bone steaks for the dog. Although the dog seems like she's very hungry because she wants to eat everything alongside of the trail. But I thought I'd get some T-bones because then I could eat the steak myself and give the T-bone to the dog. I think she'll like that. Give her a good treat. Her owner's on vacation. Why can't she have a little vacation and eat some fancy T-bones? Just the T-bone, not, of course, not T-bone steak, just the T-bone from the T-bone steak. So that, to be clear. So anyway, that's the plan for the rest of the morning. I'm going to go to the store, see if I can find some T-bones, and maybe some other, I don't know if I need any other groceries, maybe bananas. That's the plan. Go and get that stuff, and then we'll come back and have lunch, grill up some T-bones 'cause it's super nice out again. I think it's probably about 50 degrees right now. So get that grill fired up and grill some T-bones, have some T-bones for lunch. A rare treat. So that's the plan. But I'll be back tomorrow. Got another podcast planned for tomorrow. And I think tomorrow is chapter 26. And I'm going to take a stab. I think it's called The Duck Decoys. So that's the plan. Read that chapter into the record of the memoir, the Colonel and the Kid memoir, and continue the streak. Today is third day in a row. So tomorrow will be 4-day streak. I think that'll, if I have a record, I think that'll break the record. I'm not sure what the longest streak is, but we're going to try to set, let's see if we can get a week-long streak of podcasts out there. That's the plan. So anyway, I'm going to sign off. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Well, as usual, when we sign off from the Colonel and the Kid podcast, we'd like to keep it positive, go out on a high note. That's why I say to you, keep that glass half full out there. Be assertive, be positive, be proactive. And we don't say goodbye. We just say, see you later. We say, knock and the door will be open to you. Seek and you will find. Ask and you shall be given. That's it for today in the Colonel and the Kid podcast. We'll talk to you tomorrow and get you all the updates of what's going on in the dog sitting world. So until then, see you later.